Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta, no matter where in this wild, wacky, and wonderful world you might be. Thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. A very special post-game show for you tonight. We'll talk about the Chelsea match, if there's anything to talk about, and maybe we'll chat about a proper game coming this weekend with a very special guest. Let's rock and roll, squaddies. Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where in the world you might be. I do believe I may have put the show time wrong. Instead of putting 12 p.m., 2 p.m., I may put 2 a.m. So the squaddies are slowly finding out about the show this evening. Welcome to Squad Central. And my podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell. Bosh!
Squaddies, at ease. Let's get into it. We've got a lot to cover today. At ease.
Of course, we have a very special guest this evening who we know is a secret gooner, but also is an icon himself of his former club that we face this weekend. Welcome back to Squad Central, one of our favourites, Mr. Warren Barton.
Thank you, everybody. I never made it a secret. You know that? I never made it a secret. Actually, Wimbledon drew at Anfield, and I scored the equaliser, and Merson had scored somewhere, and it put Arsenal top. And I never lied about it. And then about 3 months later, I was having a picture outside of Highbury. So I tried, Kev. I tried for you. You got it in the end. You got it. You
I know, mate. You've done as good as you can, mate. I know.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm going to have so many squaddies. I put 10 p.m. US time instead of 10 p.m. UK time for the show, but they're slowly coming in and they're having a go at me. So I'm sorry. I hold my hands up, but here we are. Matt,
they should know better. So
they should know better. They should.
Stay up at 10 o'clock. I'm in bed by 9:30. You've got no chance.
Oh, absolute classic. Let's get rid of this logo right here by Kev's head because he's rocking the swag today too. He looks very cool. As always, he looks very cool. Kev, he made changes. Kiwior comes in. Jorginho comes in. Trossard comes in.
Happy birthday to the man.
Yeah.
Rocastle's birthday today.
Rocky.
Happy birthday, heavenly birthday to Rocky. I've got to say that. And obviously, he's a brother who is no longer with us. He was such a special guy. And I just wanted to pay a little bit of homage to him as we always do, Soph, on his birthday. So
yes, we do. And you beat me to it because I was going to mention it at the end. But you know what? Super Kev has mentioned it at the top of the show as it should be.
Twice. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
We could do it twice. It's so nice.
Rocky loved a birthday. He's fine. He don't mind having two birthdays in
one day. He don't mind having two on the same day. You're right.
He'll be looking down, smiling at us, saying, give me another birthday.
For sure.
Warren, you've given us a couple lovely Rocky anecdotes and stuff. Just also for you, just a really special player and a special young man, special man period, right?
Yeah, any of the young Arsenal fans that don't know who Rocky is should just go out and look. What a talented player. One for me is like pulled out like a wonderful fellow as well, like Kevin, like Wrighty, all of them on the field, great competitors. They want to win, they want to do the best, but off the field. And you know, I lost a good friend of mine with Gary Speed in obviously different circumstances, and they're young but I always cherished every moment. I'm sure Kev did, you know, all the good times they had, laughing and joking, and it's no different. But Rocky was a top-class player, probably a little bit ahead of his time in the way he played the game, how intelligent he was. He was in a good team, good people, you know, Michael Thomas around them. That sort of generation that could do both sides. They could play in the 80s, 90s and 2000, and they'd still be playing now. I don't know whether some of these players now could play in that time, but you know, it's so sad, you know, when they're so young. But you know, I think like Kevin, you remember the good times, and that's what Rocky and Gary would have wanted you to do. But Yeah, it's obviously sad, and it's great that Kevin, and I do it on social media when I see Righty and particularly Kevin, that was very, very close to him. They've done a facility for him as well with Ian Wright. So yeah, it keeps going on, and people like that you should keep remembering, because he was a wonderful person, not just a footballer, but a great fellow as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said,
Warren.
Lovely.
Well said,
Beautifully
mate.
put by Warren and Super Kev. And our love for Rocky will forever, ever live, especially on our show. Right. Rocky, I think, would be proud of this Arsenal team this season, Super Kev. Mikel did make some changes. And I don't know about you, but I've been talking to cousin George, of course, who gets stuck in on WhatsApp during the matches. He puts his, football manager hat on. And he said, man, imagine how bad Kiwior must be to come in for Holding. I said, stop, give the guy a chance. But also, I was with Warren in the green room just a second ago, and I was like, can we actually measure any player against this Chelsea team, Super Kev? You always say you can only play who's in front of you. What did you think?
You can only play, and I think for Arsenal, going about things in the right and proper way was going to be really important in this game. We know we've wobbled and we've creaked, and Manchester City beat us fairly and squarely, heavily up there. But for us, it's about getting back on the horse, because you know what? So everybody has given up the ghost. It is not over yet. Until Manchester City win it, we still have to believe there might be a slip. And if there's a slip, we have to be ready for it. So, this was a big game. This was another London derby, Sophie. It could have easily gone after the Lord Mayor's show, after easy Ozzy taking their time. No. We got to get down to business. We're on the front foot. And to be fair, 3-1 didn't reflect the game. We should have been at least 5-6. But we tend to take our foot off the gas a little bit, don't we?
Don't understand
Kev,
that.
Can you ever remember a Chelsea team as bad as that? I can't. I'm a big fan of Frank's, and I like him as a person, and obviously he was a great player. But that is the worst Chelsea team performance in the first 45 minutes.
First 45.
World Cup winners, international captains. It was dreadful. If it was me, if I was a coach, I would have left them on. I said, get on with it. You suffer. Because the fellas behind you don't need to be humiliated. You got to get on with that. It was a little bit better in the second half, but they was awful. And I said to Sophie, it was probably exactly the game Arsenal needed. You go into it, it's a big London derby. Mm-hmm. You're thinking Chelsea are going to have a response. They'd love nothing better to beat Arsenal and totally knock them out of the title race. And it's exactly what they needed. I mean, the goals was good. You're right, Kev. It could have been 5 or 6. I think it's exactly what the doctor ordered to get ready for the weekend and the run-in as well. And, the little wobbles Arsenal have had. The Man City game, my son's a big Arsenal fan as well, my eldest son. He said, hands up, they was far better than Arsenal. We wasn't at the races. And as sometimes as a player, Kev, that's all you can do. They was better than you on the day. They was phenomenal. It might be the best thing for Holding just to step out a little while, because it was getting overwhelmed by the occasion.
Warren, can we just real quick on the Holding thing? Because a lot of fans also felt Thomas Partey rightly benched today, I thought. Very brave from Mikel Arteta, but I think the right game to do it in. A lot of the blame, and Kev has stood up for Holding, and I'd love the outsider-insider perspective on this one, because you're always very candid about us, and sometimes we get stuck in our bubble. But in a couple of those games, some Arsenal fans felt like Thomas Partey put Gabriel and Holding in a bit of a pinch with how he wasn't his usual self in that midfield and his forceful self. Do you think it's been fair, the criticism as a player, and you look at kind of how we played with Holding in the side? I don't think anyone questions Arteta's changes tonight, and if they do, I'm not sure why, because we've needed it. Do you think it's been all on him though?
No, I think there's no surprise. Both of them got left out today, because, watching it as I have done, Partey, there's certain seasons, and Kevin would have been there, and I had it when I was running in 95, 96, that certain players lose a little bit of form and a little bit of confidence, and other top teams will exploit that. There's no surprise Haaland played on Holding for the game. No point. He went every time I got the chance that Holden wanted to try and win the ball, be strong, and he'd span him, turn him, and go behind. So, Kevin, no, the criticism. Listen, Holden's probably tried his best. Partey's tried his best, but at the moment, that's not been at that level, and that's not through lack of trying or lack of effort or wanting to do well. It's the fact they're just having a bad time. I had one. I went to Highbury. Righty nicked the ball off me. Sorry, Nigel Winterburn nicked the ball off me. Went down the line. He whipped it in. Righty scored. We lost our record of not losing a game. KK.
Is that the game here, Warren, where you and Righty were going at it? Is that the one?
It might have been because I've done that about 5 times. 5 times with Righty. He did it every time I played against him. As much as I love him off the field, he was a horrible little rascal.
Little mouthy git.
But to be fair, right, he could back it up. You know, he just one in the top corner. Yeah. So you didn't know. But I mean, yeah, it's not solely one player's fault. It's not solely one area's fault. But just the pressure gets to people in different ways. And I think with Holding, as much as I think he's a good player, they've had such a good partnership. It's like if Botman and Shah lost their way, and you know, Lascelles would come in. It might be okay for 2 or 3 games, but then he may get caught out a little bit. The higher you play and the higher level you go, but I wouldn't solely put it on his fault. But you know, fans are fans, and they're going to go after someone. But Kev, I tell you, they normally go after someone if they're having a bad time. They don't just do it because they don't particularly like him. There's sometimes a reason, and as professional players, we have to take it on the chin and get on with it. It's not nice, but you just have to get on with it.
Yeah, you know, Super Kev. One of the other things that's coming in terms of Partey being dropped, and I say dropped, I think they were dropped, and Holding being dropped. One of the players, and Gail, is highlighting what some of the fans think with Zinchenko. I actually thought Zinchenko was great in the first half, but again, in the second half, kind of fell off. Their goal, I felt, was more down the middle than on the left. You can talk to me about that, but some fans thought that Zinchenko deserved to be benched as well. You've been very vocal about the importance of him in this team. What was your sense on that particular side versus the other changes that Mikel had made? Do you think he deserved to be dropped tonight?
No, when you saw us first off, it didn't look like he deserved to be benched at all. I thought Zinchenko was very good in the first half. The problem Arsenal have is they've never been the course and distance. Zinchenko has, but when you've got that Manchester City squad around you, it's easy because everybody knows the course and distance. So he hasn't got to worry too much about if they take their foot off the pedal a little bit. When Arsenal do it, errors start to creep into the game. And Warren will tell you, the Chelsea goal tonight is typical of Arsenal just switching off. Chelsea are on the ball. And if there's no pressure on the ball, Warren, what do? You drop a little bit, don't you? You get to see everything. But what do? We wait. Madueke gets in and he scores. And Zinchenko goes to sleep. So, listen, for me, first half, I thought Arsenal was sensational. Zinchenko played a big part in that. But we are not the same if he doesn't play. We're not. Kieran Tierney's a very good left back. Don't get it wrong. But the way Arsenal play and the way Arsenal build, Zinchenko plays a very important role moving into that midfield to make an overload.
Yeah, Warren, real quick, let me just throw this in and you can respond to Kevin because I want to add this to you. A lot of our fans think he's a midfielder, not a left back. And you've played in that wing back position. Talk us through it a little bit on your end. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think the goal's his fault. It's a shame you can't put Tierney and him together because Tierney's a natural defender and he's more of an outside player to go forward. But Kev's actually right. The way Arteta wants to do it, how Pep does it with his fullbacks coming in and then going into that midfield area, Zinchenko does that excellent. And he's probably done it 95% of the game. And you could tell by his frustration what happened at Anfield and then what happened tonight. That's something that's the penny's got to drop with him because I was a fullback that wanted to go forward. And again, as I said about the thing with Nigel Winterburn, I got caught out and that happens in the game because you're forward thinking, you want to go forward. But it is, you know, when you're playing against top class players, when people make that run inside you, you just drop off a yard or you just put your arm out in front so he runs into it and he can't get in that space. But you see it on the TV, he just got caught ball watching and coming in five. Very much what Sterling did. You know, when Odegaard scored, he thought, yeah, I've got you. And as you do that, you've already made the run. It's what Kev used to do, Ian Wright used to do. Wait for the defender to actually look, open up, and then they've already made their run. And then before that, it's too late. So it's the fine margin, but particularly the way Arteta plays, he wants his fullbacks to go in there. And obviously, Zinchenko's won championships. He's got experience. He has a cool head. He seems like he's well liked by the Man City players, and I would imagine he's well liked as well. So it suits the way Arteta, and as I said, for the majority of the time, he's been great, and I think he's a good character, and he does that. And Tierney's more of a traditional wing back that just wants to go forward on the outside, and that's not what Arteta wants, because you're running into Martinelli's space, you're running into people's areas. He doesn't want that. So it's that area. But I want to go like Arsenal. It's not the fact of being dropped and left out and you've been a disaster. It gets to the players. We're only human. It gets to the pressure. Sometimes come out for a game, go back in. It may recharge your batteries, and you want help if you're going to be challenged like Arsenal want to do, and Newcastle want to challenge Man City. You've got to have a healthy squad. You've got to go through adversity as a player to know the next time what you're going to get through. It doesn't all of a sudden happen automatically. Otherwise, everyone will be winning, which it doesn't happen. But as it seems to be vogue at the moment, failure is the journey. Failure is the journey. I'd rather not fucking foul and just win something, wouldn't you? I don't know about you, Kev. I don't want to go on this journey. I'm too old. Just let me win something.
That's funny, Warren.
Absolutely love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this, right? Because as fans, I'm sitting there, and the first half, I'm thinking, I'm texting Kev Warren, and I'm like, let the floodgates open. Let's bang in 6 or 7. Of course, we know football doesn't work that way. But take me beyond the white lines as players. How is it we can put in such a dominant performance in the first half and then allow a team, even as bad as Chelsea? I think we weren't afraid in this second half, but we saw it against Southampton. We've seen it against West Ham. We saw it against Liverpool. How is it? Fans want to know, is that the manager telling them to take their foot off the gas? Or what is it that's happening in the second half? Kev, I'll start with you. What is it? Why?
So we started the second half fine. We didn't get the 4th goal. But when you're 3-0 up, it's a natural thing for the team to lack urgency. It's natural. Okay, you had a burst, you didn't get the 4th goal, but then you take your time and you keep the ball. That's what you know as players, because it's the onus is on the opposition to come and get the ball. So you want them to come out at you so you can play through them. And by taking your foot off the gas a little bit, by playing a little bit slower, the opposition can get back into the game. So, it's just one of those things. Listen, who would have thought, let's be honest, who would have thought on Sunday, Liverpool 3-0 up, and Spurs can pep them back? So it's not just Arsenal. It does happen. Newcastle were 3-1 up. Sorry, Man City were 3-1 up at Newcastle. Sorry, 1-0 up. Then they were 3-1 down, and then they come back. It happens because you know what? You think you're safe. You really think you're safe. And then all of a sudden, floodgates come. They start coming at you. Newcastle had a great attitude after going down. They push. But Chelsea haven't got it in themselves, unfortunately. Or should I say fortunately. They scored a goal, but I thought Arsenal saw it out pretty easy. I would have loved to get the 4th goal just to make sure, but we couldn't do that.
Warren, I've been dying to talk to you about this a lot, and we'll get stuck into some of the other players, but squaddies are with me here because they're like, when you get Warren on, we have to talk about this. Warren, you were part of the entertainers. And for anyone who hasn't listened to our episodes with Warren, he's beautifully expressed the season with Kevin Keegan and the season where they should have won the Premier League and didn't. I couldn't think of a better person to talk to us right now in terms of our last few games. And then, like you guys, at times you were up and then you're finding yourselves the Liverpool games, some of the others too, Warren, where you knew you were good enough to win and somehow, how'd you let teams get back in the game? What's your take on that from your personal experience and then looking at this Mikel Arteta side as well?
It's an Arsenal podcast. I think if I wanted to reminisce about Newcastle, I'd go on.
No, it's here. It's the mental part of it.
I know.
You cracker. You joking, cracking me up here. Just tell us, Warren, why have we failed so far at this part of the season? Because you guys did the same.
Yeah, it was the unknown. We didn't have, Kevin Keegan had won trophies at Liverpool. We had a conversation. We played Man City away and drew 3-3. Tino got sent off at the end. And we had a meeting the next day. And I said, Gaffer, we don't always have to go out and try and win. He said, we're going to win it this way. This is the way we're going to win it. It was never a fact. We played Man United at home. We absolutely battered them. Les Ferdinand hit the post. Schmeichel was making save after save. Peter Beardsley had one cleared off the line. We come in at half time. And again, a manager of this generation might have said, we ain't getting beat now. Whatever it is, like George Graham, maybe an Arsene Wenger, we ain't getting beat. Kevin went, we've shown him, go and beat him again. We got done with a sucker punch. We went forward, we got caught out of position. Cantona scores 1-0.
Cantona back post.
Back post. And it changed everything. The momentum changed. And then momentum's a big thing. And every time now we went out, we felt like we was like box office. So we was playing on a Sunday afternoon or on a Monday night football. So Man United was playing Southampton, winning their game. We then had to sit back and go back and play the game. And then the pressure gets to you. And like I said, we only had Peter Beardsley, and he wasn't a Tony Adams. He wasn't a Stuart Pearce. Peter Beardsley's a very quiet, subdued guy. He's not like he leads by example. He doesn't lead by flying around everywhere. So, a lot of it was inexperience. A lot of it was momentum. Nerves, if I'm being honest. Nerves got to some of us as well. And I think it got to Kevin with the rant about, I would love it if we beat them. And it's like anything. The harder we tried, the worse it got. And we was trying even harder. We was getting caught out of position. We never really sat down and said, right, let's just take stock of what we got. We're still 6 points clear. We ain't getting beat by that lot. They've got to go here, there, and start thinking about it. But because of the time of the season, because of how Kevin was, and because of how the Newcastle fans were, they wanted us to go and play. They couldn't wait for the next game. You were just in a vicious circle. We went down to Upton Park, got beat, difficult. So they went and won a game at the Dell. Then we go and played up to Main Road, the old stadium. We're winning the game. Instead of shutting up shop, it was like, go and get another one. The fans were cheering. We got caught out of position. And going back to what Kev was saying about today with Arsenal, you dominated the game. And even the fans, it was quiet for Arsenal fans. Like, they think, oh, job's done. It was quiet. Instead of, you don't realise as fans how much we need you as players, because when it's going well, everybody's partying. And, sometimes we need a lift, and you're saying, well, you get paid £100,000 a week. You're supposed to run around. But again, going back to what I said, you're human beings. So you need a lift. You think, job's done. I can't believe how bad they are. And they never really opened Arsenal up. It was a bad defending by Zinchenko, and they scored. They never really carved Arsenal apart and thought, oh, they're really on the back foot. And there was a little bit of nerves when the goal went in, but that's because of the fans as well. That you want it so much, you want it so much, and they got nervous. There was a few groans here and there, and that's the inexperience of having that. When the Chelsea's was winning everything, you never really heard that. When United was winning everything, when you had the Invincibles, you never heard a moan or a groan if they conceded a goal. It was a roar because you was going to get back and win the game. So. I just think it's that type of, and because of Man City, like our mentor, because if it was anyone else except United and Fergie, we felt we had a chance. It's the same with Arsenal players now and Arteta. If it was Klopp or, I was going to say Chelsea, but they're fucking dreadful. But anyone else, but because of Arteta and he knows them, he knows what they're like, and they're just a machine, and they know what they're doing. They're going to carve out. They're going to win the next game, and they're going to say, pressure's on you, pressure's on you, pressure's on you. Hopefully for Arsenal, I'd love it if the Champions League takes its toll on City. Because for me, not a neutral, because I'm an Arsenal fan many, many years ago. My son is. I'd love Arsenal to win the Premier League, but I'd love City to win the Champions League. I think it'd be great because I love the Premier League. I think it'd be great for everybody, and for Newcastle to finish up in the top, top 3, top 4. But Kev's absolutely right. It's you're playing against teams, a World Cup winner, players that have played at high. They've got a bit of pride, surely. Whatever Frank said, he probably didn't have to say anything, because it was like, that's fucking awful. You got to do better than that, surely.
Apparently, in his post-game show, he looks like he's completely depleted and beaten. I tell you who wasn't depleted and beaten today, and we needed our senior players and our leaders to show up, Super Kev. I did try to say, you know, we've said all season Martin Odegaard is special. Fans come down so hard on him when he doesn't have a sexy display. We talk about him working in the shadows. He worked in the shadows and he was front and center. And I said the X's and O's shone today. These two in the first half, Kev, completely bossed it.
I thought Odegaard was sensational yet again. God, what would we do without him, Soph? You know, a lot of people questioned the captaincy. You know, although he's a quiet lad, he leads by example. He grafts hard. He always tries. But those two finishes and the way he made space, Warren was right. You know, Sterling, for the second goal especially, Sterling saw him out the corner of his eye. He has a look, and he can't even look back because all of a sudden Odegaard's moved. He's gone and put the second one in. First one was a really good finish as well. When everybody's going in, he pulls out. And was the keeper actually gets a hand to the first one, and it still goes in off the bar. So we needed that. Jesus got his goal, which was fantastic. But I thought Odegaard was superb all night. Xhaka, who I thought had a good game. But do you know what I'm seeing, Soph? I'm seeing if against the better teams, we need a bit more speed in that position, because that's the difference. You know, people who run from deep going in there have to be able to commit somebody. I'm not taking anything away from Xhaka, because I thought Xhaka had a good game. But we look at the growth of our football club and our team. If we're looking at the growth, we need somebody as well, an alternative who's got a bit of speed that can really make a difference offensively. Because Xhaka, quality player, but he's a bit one-paced. He's made that position his own, but when we look at us against Manchester City, the levels are different. So that's what we need, players there who are going to really hurt them. When you get in that position, you've got to hurt them.
Right.
It'd be a good test, Kev, for you, for Arsenal's midfield play against Newcastle, because they're athletic and strong.
We're going to get to that, Kev. Hold off on that, Warren, because we're going to get to that, because I want to get your take on what Kev's saying here, because I felt like Jorginho, which a lot of Arsenal fans maybe beforehand were like, no, Thomas Partey. But Thomas Partey has not been great in the last 3 or 4 games. Jorginho criticised, of course, because his lack of speed. I like the mind games that Mikel Arteta kind of threw him in against his old club here too. But there were times in the first half, and correct me if I'm wrong, Warren, Jorginho really moves the ball quickly. And I felt like we had a little bit more than we've missed in the past few games, where we're that unafraid. And maybe it's because we don't like to be hunted, and now we're behind again, we're the underdog, and I think we thrive more on that. But I thought Jorginho coming in for Thomas Partey, who's been sensational this season, really moved the ball along beautifully in the first half, especially.
He did, but Chelsea's midfield was awful. They couldn't get anywhere near.
See, this is the thing. How can you judge it?
No. I'm just saying, against more athletic, you know, they had a nice balance today. And sometimes, so as coaches, you play against who you're playing against. Now, I don't know whether Jorginho will play against, you know, Newcastle's midfield. He may think, I need someone a bit more athletic and powerful, and Partey may come in. He's had a rest today. He's had a look at the game. He may have had a little knock or an injury, and they may throw him back in the game. But you're right, they had a good balance. You played, like Kev, you said about Kev, you can only beat what was in front of you. And he did exactly that. He passed the ball quick. He moved it around. He's got great composure. You know, he's an international player. And he let the other two go around and do what and he screened the 2 centre-halves. So that's great. That's fine, because none of the Chelsea midfield players ever want to run in behind you. You know, they never really, they put Conte there, but I'm still a little bit confused, because I think he's one of the best number 6s of his generation, where he was playing his best football for France and Chelsea when they was doing well as a number 6, sweeping up everything. Now all of a sudden he's a number 8 and he's trying to get all over the field, and I don't think that's his game. He'll do it because he's such a good player and seems a nice kid. But if I was him, I'd say, listen, put me here and let the other fucking run around and do that. But Sophie, they did well. The Arsenal played very, very well in the first half. I thought the front line was good. Odegaard was sensational. They did what they had to do against Chelsea. But again, it's another game against a different Newcastle team. You know, Newcastle are not going to allow them to. They've got pace, they've got size, they're a physical team. But they show what they did at the Emirates. They break it up. If they start getting a little bit of joy, Arsenal, Newcastle players will break the game up. They make it more of a street fight. So it's horses for courses. But listen, all good players done their job, but they're not a Patrick Vieira where you think whatever system you play, he's going to dominate the game. And you know that's unfortunately for Arsenal players, that's your benchmark, that's your type of player. But because Patrick would play, but it's moving the pieces around that they need.
Super Kev, you and I had an exchange. You're always concerned about two lefties playing at centre back together. Kiwior comes in for holding, and most Arsenal fans are impressed with what he's. Yeah, talk to me about it a little bit. And again,
it's the first time I have seen two left-footed centre halves play for Arsenal. Start. It's the first time I've seen it. So, again, Gabriel stayed on the left. Kiwior was on the right. I thought Kiwior done all right tonight, to be fair to him. Considering it's his first start, I thought he done fine. If you notice at the start of the game, Aubameyang tried to play on Kiwior's side.
Aubameyang was playing? Sorry, I don't... Aubameyang...
But Sophie, this is the whole thing. That is not Aubameyang that we know.
No, I mean he's
a
broken.
shell. And it's sad to see he's a shell of a player. It's really sad to see that he's a shell of a player. What did he have? 5, 6 touches, and one of them was kickoff or something. It's madness. You know what I mean? It's honestly, it's madness. So again,
I've no sympathy for him. I'm sorry, Kev. I don't.
No, I'm not trying to be sympathetic to him. I'm just saying about Kiwior. The fact of the matter is, if we were playing against probably a better side, they would have asked a lot more questions because of Kiwior's positioning. Mm-hmm. But Chelsea couldn't exploit the fact that we had two lefties at the back, and Kiwior ended up having a pretty decent game, to be fair to him. So,
Kev, regardless of how he may have played well tonight against this Chelsea team, I just want to be sure you and Warren are standing behind Mikel Arteta that the team he chose against Manchester City was the right team. He shouldn't have started Kiwior. He shouldn't have started Jorginho. He should have started Martinelli. He picked the right team. Are we all on that?
Unless I heard if Partey was injured, but I understand why he played it, and I understand why he wanted someone to try and break up the midfield because you wasn't going to have a lot of possession of the ball. Jorginho is one of them players. When you have possession, you want him to have the ball. So they probably thought, well, we're going to have to dig in. We're going to have to try and keep our shape. And unfortunately, it was all over in the first 15, 20 minutes. But I think Arteta's made the right calls because there's a logic thinking behind what he's trying to do. I don't think he's just think, well, I throw two left footers out there because I don't know what I'm doing. He's probably felt, you know what, the kid's good enough in training. Holden's had a little bit of a dip and he's maybe lacking in confidence. This is a game we need to win. We're at home. I fancy my chances with him. I think you said it, playing against your old team who's put you on loan, he'll have a point to prove. If Partey had been playing well, Jorginho wouldn't have been getting in. That's quite simple. He didn't drop Xhaka and put 2 6s and play there and maybe push Partey up a little bit. There was a reason behind what he did. And it'll be interesting what he does in the next game going forward against Newcastle. So, yeah, 2 left footers, ideally, you won't play next to, unless it's like a left back and a centre half, but playing next to each other. But I said to you at the beginning, Kev, it was exactly what the Arsenal players needed, exactly what Arteta needed. They did what they needed to do against Chelsea. They took the foot off the gas a little bit. It was a wake-up call for Zinchenko. That won't happen again. We'll have a conversation tomorrow at London Coney, and that ain't going to happen again. We're going to sort it out because we know if we do that against Newcastle in front of 52,000 Geordies, it's going to be a tougher game than what we've got at the moment.
Okay, so let's swing to that game. But before we do, closing statements from Kev. Trossard, I thought, did great. I think he's been saved. Odegaard, of course, was fantastic.
Man of the match, Odegaard.
And I wanted to put in Jesus for you as well, Super Kev. And Xhaka, of course, we mentioned.
Xhaka was quality. Jorginho, hey, at the base of that midfield, he done what he needed to do. Kept the team ticking over. I thought he was good as well. He was. But as Warren said, and I've said, and you've said, this Chelsea side are nothing what they used to be.
Penny
Nothing
for his thoughts.
Hey, listen, he came on. He showed a quick turn of foot down the left a couple of times, but
I love to see. Sorry, listen. We've been their dartboard for years. Chelsea fans,
don't feel sorry. Can I say? Don't feel
Go on,
sorry for
Warren.
Chelsea.
Two-footed, studs up.
Frank, I love Frank. He's a lucky boy getting the job. Don't feel sorry for that lot. They won't Aubameyang. They won't
I
feel
hope
sorry
they keep
for
him.
Arsenal. Oh, that was
honest,
a
Warren, I want them to keep him, mate.
you know,
that's his club. That's his club. That's all I've got to say. I've got to say, Newcastle. That's my club. I might get a job.
Well, look, Chelsea fans have been throwing it at everyone, and the demise this season has been glorious, especially for for London clubs to be seeing it. No sympathy whatsoever here. Good luck rebuilding. That club is completely broken, just like ours was. You have to gut it to go back up, and they've got a lot of talent there, but they've got no direction. I think
Arsenal
removing some of the execs.
Arsenal wasn't as bad as that.
On the pitch, I think we were, but off the pitch, no. On the pitch,
Warren,
we've lost like
Warren,
8-2 to Man United.
Warren,
we were bad.
Trust me, we've been
remember
bad. Those days where who did we go to? Went to Liverpool, and the
battered.
game was over after 25 minutes.
4-0.
Stamford Bridge. The game was over.
6-0.
Oh yeah,
30
actually, you just
minutes.
reminded me. Yeah,
No,
you was crap. Yeah,
listen, I'm scarred with those results, mate. I'm scarred.
I've just looked it up. I couldn't realise how bad you was. Mind you, I can't say a lot with Newcastle, but yeah.
All right, let's get stuck in. Let's get stuck into the new journey our clubs are on, because Arsenal 2.0 and Newcastle 2.0 have added a lot of flavour to the Premier League story this season. There is no doubt both clubs have hit heights that maybe they've done prematurely, perhaps a year ahead of time. Eddie Howe, for me, is no doubt one of the managers of the season. There's a few. I mean, you can look at what's happening at Bournemouth right now. What Gary O'Neill's doing is absolutely insane. Roy Hodgson saving Crystal Palace. But the last time we met, Warren, at the Emirates, there was a lot of argy-bargy, as we like to say, a lot of time wasting from the Magpies. Dear Lord, has a team wasted more time than the Magpies did at the Emirates? Oh, look at him. He's stretching. He's getting ready. Go on.
He's getting bigger, you know.
Don't even time. Talking of time, I've got to get off.
It's a big one. Super Kev, I'm going to start with you. This is a huge, huge game for us. I mean, this is a massive test. It's going to be absolutely electric, to use a cliche, but we know what we're expecting. They did us last season. We owe them. We've paid back a lot of teams from last season. Can we repay Newcastle a little bit of a favour as well?
Yeah, you can. 100%, but it's going to be a tough game. Let me tell you, Newcastle at home have shown that they are athletic, they are powerful, and if you give an inch, they're going to take a mile. I'm telling you, they're going to take a mile. And now they've found a way how to incorporate their forwards. Their two centre forwards. We've seen Isaac and Wilson rotate really from the bench on, but now we're seeing Isaac come on from the left-hand side, and he's a real live wire. He's got incredible ability to beat people and to not only take chances but to set goals up. And Wilson's in a great vein of form. Newcastle midfield, it's going to be a midfield battle. I think the midfield's going to be really important. If Arsenal are not athletic and we're laboured, we're getting beat. So I'm telling you, if we are laboured, we are getting beat, because that is where Newcastle's strength really is. Guimaraes, Joe Linton, who I think has been incredible.
Absolutely. I mean, what Eddie Howe's done with him, taking him into the midfield and that, I mean, it's just been unbelievable this season.
But Soph, not only that, he has to play. It's all very well saying, you know, he's got to perform, and he's been performing box to box to box. He's been incredible. Listen, and Willock, one of our old boys, Willock has done a great job in there.
And Callum Wilson's found his form again, hasn't he? After you know, a little bit of a
Exactly.
disappointment post World Cup.
So again, Isaac and Wilson have been alternating most of the time, but now you're tending to find Wilson stays on and Isaac comes in, and Isaac's operating from the left-hand side. The key to this is the matchup, Soph. Whereas, you know, at the Emirates, Newcastle kind of played. They doubled up on Saka and doubled up on Martinelli. Done a really good job at it, to be fair. We had a few chances that we didn't take, and it petered out into a 0-0. The key, again, is going to be our wide players. Saka has to have a right goal at Dan Burn, and whoever, whether it's Trossard or whoever, has got to have a go at Kieran Trippier. Because if you let them advance, we are going to be penned in, especially at that Gallagher end where they suck the ball into that goal. I tell you, they really do. Yeah, they really do. So I think we've got a tough day at the office, Soph.
I do too,
We're gonna
Kev. I
beat
completely
them, but
agree.
We have got a tough day at the office.
Warren, can you help us understand a little bit too? Newcastle away at the Emirates versus Newcastle at home. I mean, you guys are a very physical team. And I think that was the first time Arsenal were really bullied this season. And it felt like from that moment, Newcastle gave other teams a little bit of a blueprint on how to force us into playing a game that we don't like. And that happened to us a few times since then. Are we going to have more chances versus you at home? What's the difference going to be?
Yeah, I think Newcastle are in a different phase of their season now in their development, because at the beginning, if you remember, it was in that run, not conceding goals, being organised, disciplined. What Eddie and whoever, if Arsenal win the league, which as I said, I hope they do, Arteta get manager of the year. If Arsenal don't, I think Eddie will get manager of the year. So it's out of them two. I think they've been phenomenal. I think you're right. Brighton as well. I think they've been wonderful. But these two coaches, what they've done to their teams, transformed us into one as a contender to try and win the Premier League and one as a contender to get into European football is brilliant. And both teams have an identity of how they play. But early on in the season, I think Newcastle was going through, we're not going to get beat, we're going to grind out results. In recent weeks, you know, you look at the Tottenham game where 5-0 in 21 minutes, which I think we all loved. And it was like, it could have been 7 or 8. It was embarrassing. And then they, you know, off the back of that, they've gone down to West Ham, won that game, going down to, playing Southampton after conceding a goal, coming back. And, you know, like Kevin said, he's got horses for courses now. If one's doing well for the first half, Wilson's got a record against West Ham. Throw him on, he gets 2 goals, and then we'll swap it round. Okay, we'll start with one player. He's got some good goals. He scored against Spurs because of their lack of pace in the middle with Dyer. We're going to exploit that, swap that round. Wilson, you come on at half-time against Southampton. And it's just working for Eddie at the moment. Whatever he's doing, it's working. I think the biggest thing is going to be Odegaard and Bruno in midfield, Guimaraes, because Bruno makes everything tick for Newcastle, but he's also got to be aware with Odegaard where he is. And if Newcastle start dictating, Odegaard's got to come deeper and match himself up a little bit. So that's going to be an area as well. What will happen at St James's Park, Newcastle will start on the front foot. They're going to put your back line under pressure. You said, if it's a 2 centre-halves, if it's Rod Holding, they're going to put them under pressure. They're going to put balls down the side. They're going to put them around the corner. And the 52,000 or 52, whatever it is, 51,000 Geordies, because there'll be about 1,000 Gooners at the top. They're going to put you under pressure. And Trippier will push forward as much as maybe Martinelli's great going that way. Trippier's going to say, well, I'm going to keep going that way. Saka is the one. But he looks a bit tired today, and maybe bringing him off is something. You know, again, he's only human. He's only a young player as well. A lot of pressure on his shoulders. But it's interesting, Kev, when you say, I think St James's Park for away players is one of the best atmospheres to play in, with the roar and the intensity of the game. It's just, you can feel it's a big game. You know, when you go to Old Trafford, when I used to go to Highbury and that, you can just sense they're big games. And when Newcastle, whether it was Everton with Kev or whoever coming up there, you would enjoy it, Kev, wouldn't you? Because it's a special atmosphere.
Great place to play. Yeah.
And play against. So the Arsenal players are going to be looking for it. And Arsenal want to keep hold of the ball. And Arteta will say, as much as physical, the ball doesn't know how big they are, just keep passing it. It's if that physical side, Newcastle overrun it and overpower them. It's how they handle that. But it's going to be Arsenal won't sit back. Sorry, Newcastle won't sit back and try and drain the game out. Not in the first 15, 20 minutes, they won't do. They're going to put them under pressure and test Arsenal's character, in a different way, mentally, physically. They're just going to keep chipping away and see if anyone breaks. And if no one breaks, then Arsenal's football might start coming through. But, Newcastle's backline is good. It's going to be a hell of a game. I think it's two really, really well-coached teams, two really good managers. Arteta lost his rag in that game and was out of control a little bit. And I know we love passion, but I said to you, Kev, as well, is he
Kev liked what he did in that game. Kev thought that at home, to be the boss on the sideline and kind of go at it like that. Away from home at Liverpool on the sideline, maybe he'll advise, but
I just thought the way he was, and Kev's right, you want to see your manager, but I also love the way Eddie told him to ref off. It's like he's saying to scream as much.
Exactly. Yeah,
I don't mind. He's
back your team. Back your team.
You wave your hands and you scream and shout and you get in someone's face, but just tell them.
Okay, so let's ask this question because Super Kev, without Gabby, Gab 6, we better pray that he's okay, right?
Oh, listen, we got to patch him up.
Where's Tony? Where's Tony Adams at the moment? Is he?
I know we got to patch him up because he's the leader back there. So he is the tough one who you can say, all right, Callum Wilson, I could have it with you. Isaac, I could have it with you. I don't fancy. I don't fancy holding.
Time out. Kev, come on. Could you play against Gabriel? What would you do to Gabriel, Kev? Be honest now. Be honest. I know what you're like.
What I'm saying is, Warren.
If he's tough.
Hold on. Let Kev finish.
Warren. What I'm saying is, Warren, you need someone who is going to battle you. As a striker, of course, you're gonna get into him, but you need somebody who's going to be up for the battle. And Gabriel is up for the battle. And if he's not there, oh my God, Callum Wilson is going to be rubbing his hands, holding and Kiwior.
You got to put Ben White. You got to find.
Point.
Yeah, go on, Warren.
If it was Kev and Ian Wright, Gabriel and Holden, what would you and Righty say to each other as you're walking on the pitch? Be honest. The laugh says it all.
What would we say? We'd say it's going to be a good day.
He'd always say that, even if he was facing Maldini and Baresi, he would say it's a good day. This one.
It's going to be a good day.
So. If it was Baresi, be honest. We all love Kev, Maldini, and yeah. But listen, we've done that, and we played them at Highbury, and you know what we said? It's going to be a tough day. But we thought it'd be a tough day for them. Bloody hell, it was a tough day for me and Righty. Jesus,
let's not talk about that, Kev. I shouldn't have brought that up. The worst two examples I could have given, Maldini and Baresi.
But the point is this, Soph. You've got to be able to trust your centre half because there's a physicality aspect that comes with Newcastle. And Gabriel,
he's your most
Gabriel is our most physical centre half. And we need to patch him up, put him in there, dunk him in the ice bath, get him ready because it's coming.
Kev, do you remember those mats that the Sun did before the World Cup and the Euros when Rooney or Beckham were injured? Like put your hands on the mat and pray that they're fit.
I remember. Oh my God.
That's what we need. I mean, that would be a heartbreaker for sure. But in that instance, Benjamin White has to come in at centre back, doesn't he? Zinchenko has to go to like a right back, and Tierney would play left back. I'm sure the manager would.
I don't think so.
No? Dear Lord, Kev, come on.
No.
There's no. Okay, let's not talk about that. Gabriel's going to be just fine. We've got 5 days left here. 5 days left.
He's licking his lips there.
Nah.
Is the transfer window open? Can you get someone?
Listen, Newcastle United are due a little bit of a humbling, aren't they? Warren, aren't you due a little bit of a humbling here, maybe? And we're due some type of away performance against you. I mean,
Aston Villa, we had that wake-up call there. We got smashed 3-0 and it could have been 5 or 6. So we've had
Yeah.
that. We've had that. We've dusted ourselves down and we beat the Spurs 6-1 and we went and beat the others 5-0 or whatever it was. I'm running out of fingers. I can't keep counting what it was.
All right,
Yeah,
jokes aside,
Everton,
Mr. Barton.
All
right,
Oh, keep it quiet, Barton.
Jokes
I'm
aside,
trying to...
as the quarterback in the
Easy.
game would do at home, like this
How
to the
bad are they,
crowd,
Everton?
just simmer down, simmer down. Mr. Barton, if you were to pick a huge concern, a weakness in your team that we can attack like a Florida alligator, what would it be? Where's the vulnerability, honestly, in this Newcastle team that we can exploit that concerns you the most?
It doesn't concern me, but Dan Burns is a centre half playing left back, and he's done a great job. That would only be him and Xhaka. That would be my concern with him, because I thought Arsenal, the first 45 minutes, he struggled, the big man, against him. So that would be my only concern. But I'm a big fan of Dan Burns. So yeah, but my concern for us is overly optimistic about the other lot, the two centre halves. So I'm thinking,
Look at him. He's licking his lips. This guy. Look.
Listen, I mean,
because we nullify that and go down the middle, we've got every chance.
God, I thought I just saw that it was his hamstring, but someone's saying if it was. No, listen, Warren, you're getting a bit too ahead of yourself here, I think. You know,
That time I've had 14 years of misery. 14 years of misery. So of course I'm going to enjoy it. All right for you, Dave.
Let's talk about the two managers, because really you mentioned it just loosely and you said if we win the title, Mikel Arteta deserves, to win it. And if we don't, Eddie has done a great job. I almost look at, the pathetic situation at Tottenham and think, wow, they missed a trick not hiring Eddie Howe, a guy who's kind of built your club back up, same way Mikel Arteta has. The two of them, I think, have a lot of respect in the league and among players and managers as well. Going into this, who has more to gain and lose? Super Kev, who has more to gain and lose in this match? I feel like all the pressure is on Mikel Arteta to deliver at Newcastle.
More to gain. I think Arsenal have more to gain, obviously, to win, because you've got to keep the pressure on to Manchester City. But that's not going to diminish what Newcastle want to do. Newcastle want to finish in the Champions League spots. Both of these clubs have, as you said, probably a year ahead of schedule right now. And for Newcastle to finish in the Champions League spot, listen, they've got deep pockets. They've got the deepest pockets. So they're going to go into the market, because then the expectation comes. So exactly. Look at Warren. Look at him. Look, giving it all that. Look.
Just Seafold under Chelsea, Warren.
Oh yeah. Don't worry about it. But Soph, we've got more to lose.
Yeah,
we have got more to lose, because we are in a title running. We don't like the position we're in now, because if we like it. We've gone back to the top. Obviously, City play. We're hoping for a little bit of snookers, of course. But do you know what, Sophie? We need them 3 points. If Manchester City ever mess up, we have to be able to pounce. We've got tough games. So we've got to go to Newcastle. We've got to go there to win. No messing around.
They're not going to... I don't think they're going to mess up. I said on the show that I can't see them losing another game this season. Our time, we blew it against West Ham, Southampton, Everton away. PGMO owe us, Seafold under all their apologies. Let's get your predictions before we get some final statements on the season and how you guys think it's going to end. I'll start with Warren. Of course, you're going to back your ex-team. What do you fancy? What's the score going to be?
I've gone for 2-1 to the Toon. I think Arsenal will score, but I think it's going to be a great game. I think it will be a really good game, a proper game of football. Two good coaches, two players, groups of players that are playing well. If Arsenal do win that game, it is a statement win, because Newcastle are flying higher. They're doing great. It could be the little doubt that gets into Man City's mind. I doubt it, because I just, they're so experienced. They're so good. They're peaking at the right time. And, with the fella up front now, they've got it all. They've got the player, the number 9. They've got everything going for him. But yeah, I'm going for 2-1 to Newcastle. I think they start the game off well, Newcastle. But it's going to be a hell of a game. I'm looking forward to it.
Super Kev. You look like you're ready to go into battle. You actually look like you're ready to start up front. You and Warren are ready to go.
He can start at the back. He can start.
Listen, I think there's going to be goals in this game.
Too many.
I think it's going to be 3-2 to the Gunners. I think it's going to. Listen, if Newcastle won it 3-2, it wouldn't surprise me. But I'm going for 3-2 to Arsenal because I think these are two quite evenly matched teams right now, considering the position in the table. It's going to be a hell of a game. It's up at Newcastle, so they're going to have a little bit of the upper hand. But I think Arsenal, especially after what happened last season, Mikel Arteta's got to use that the way Newcastle battered us up there last season. This can't happen again.
I like it. All right, let's get down to the big question of all. We'll start with Warren. Warren, this whole idea of bottling and choking, we've had this conversation on this show. When you come up against Manchester City, it's one thing, kind of drawing some of the games we have. It's been an amazing season for Arsenal. And for most of us fans, we love the journey that we've been on. But of course, we want to win the big one. Can you see Manchester City screwing up at this point?
I'm always going with my heart. And I've got a few Arsenal fans that work with me at Fox. And I'd love, as I said at the beginning, I'd love Arsenal to win it. I just can't see City slipping up. I can't see them doing it. As I said, the only saving might be the Champions League, but it might be all over by then, with their games in hand. It'll be a big game tomorrow. But yeah, I'd love Arsenal to do it. But I just feel, and I hate the word choking, and because it's part of it. I've come second twice in the Premier League, and it's hard to win. It's hard to win it. It's the most difficult league in the world because it tests you in every single way. Not only football-wise, tactic-wise, mental-wise, it's draining. It's draining, and it's tough to do. And that's why champions are champions, and runners-up are runners-up. It is what it is. But I don't think Arsenal would sit back and say it's a failure. I think this season has been a success. I just think, for Arsenal's point of view, you think Liverpool are going to get their act together. You think a lockdown North London, they might start getting their act together. I always think when the moment's there to try and win it, this is the time. This is when they've got to try and win it. And the same thing for Newcastle. To get in the Champions League now, don't try and think, well, I'll do it next year. It won't be easy next year. It's going to be even harder. So you're better off for both clubs is to try and do it now.
But Warren, what do you say to the people that told us last year that not finishing fourth, we're out? I mean, we've got no chance because next year Chelsea are going to be better, Liverpool going to be better, Manchester United are going to be better. I feel like that argument is a little bit lazy because here we are, fighting for the title. Who'd have thought Newcastle would be here?
Yeah,
Brighton.
Yeah, I mean, I won't call me lazy, but you're right. Maybe it is a flipping.
Not you lazy, then that narrative that people have put out there is
lazy. Barton.
Oh, you can go at our centre backs, can you? But we,
But I just, I mean, maybe history shows you're right, but I just think there will be a response from Liverpool. The money that the Premier League got, Brighton look good. It's just there's going to be tougher games. West Ham will probably get their act together because they've got some good players. Depending what happens with Declan Rice. It's just going to be tougher. There's no easy games going along. But I just think at the moment, arguably the big five that they used to call, three of them have had, they're not having good seasons. So I think they will come back again next season. So that's my lazy answer, if you like.
Oh, he's not going to let me forget that one now, is he? Oh man,
it's in the book. It's in the book, Kev.
Love it.
I'm just going to give you a yellow card anyway because I've always wanted to do that. That's for you going at Gabriel and thinking that anyone could score past him. There you go, Warren Barton, yellow card for you. You're first on the Highbury squad.
You see that? Puffed his chest out.
Look at you twist it round. It was a fact, Kev, that I said if he's your tough man and leader, you're in a bit of trouble. That's all because. Yeah. Anyway, I'm digging a hole.
Can I just put this up too? I forgot to mention we're the only team in the 5 major leagues in Europe that have 4 players who have scored 10 goals or more.
Double figures. Yeah.
Forgot to put that up. Kev, do we still have a shot?
Of course we do. Look, here's one thing I could tell you. Do I expect Manchester City to mess up? No, of course I don't. But we have seen in the past crazy results. We have seen it happen. Whether it's Man City, I mean, what was it? Last game of the season, Manchester City were 2 down against Villa at home. Came back to win 3-2. So I know they ended up winning the game, but funny things at football, A wise man once said, football's a funny old game, right? The
We love
key
that
for
wise
Arsenal,
man.
Sophie, the key for us is we have to take care of our business. That's the key. If Manchester City win out and win the title, good luck to them. But the way we finish is going to be really important for us. As fans as well, it's really important. This game today, as Warren said, is a very important game for us. We haven't lost the London derby. We've won 10 and drawn 2
10.
or something
We haven't
like
lost.
that.
Yep.
That's an
incredible.
amazing record.
Yeah.
But the players have to believe something could happen. And if it doesn't happen, at least we finish strong. And anything could happen. That's what we've got to hope. We're in hope land now.
Who thought Buster Douglas was going to F up Mike Tyson? No one saw that coming. I had to go really far back for that one. It's the first thing that came into my mind, boys.
Yeah, but then the next round he knocked him out. Mike Tyson knocked him out.
Wait, didn't Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson first?
Yeah, Buster Douglas knocked Tyson out, didn't he? Stopped him.
Yeah.
But big things can happen. Sometimes it's in the lap of the gods or in the lap of VAR, people. Let me tell you.
Well, I tell you, maybe we could ask Rocky to do us a favor up there. You know, when we talk about all the gods and the angels up there looking over Arsenal and all of us. I had to put this up. This is my favorite picture. It's David Rocastle's birthday today. Kev knows how much I love this picture. I mean, look at these boys. It's the South London Massive here.
London Gooners,
Warren knows what that's about as well. Had to throw that up there. His face here is just great. I mean, just wonderful. So many great memories, Kev.
Bless him. Love him. Love this man so much, man.
Awesome stuff. Listen, this has been a phenomenal show. We gave you 2 for the price of 1. All right. It was your happy meal tonight, your football happy meal. Warren Barton has missed out on the Premier League, loved wearing his Newcastle shirt, fought for the badge, part of the crazy gang as well, has given us a lot of football memories, and we love that he comes on the show and we could talk about anything and everything with him. And of course, Super Kevin Campbell, the Arsenal legend and icon, saved West Brom from relegation, saved Everton from relegation, won a lot of stuff with Arsenal as well. I mean, what a treat for you guys this evening to have these 2 wonderful players come in the show and talk to us right after the game. Doesn't end there. Let me tell you something. A newsflash here on the Highbury Squad. A brand new show coming to you every Thursdays with Mr. Kyle Campbell. That's right, a different KC. Kyle's going to be joining me every Thursday for a generic Premier League show where we'll talk a little bit about everything. Listen, I had enough of him last week coming on talking about Man City, but somehow the listeners loved him, so he's coming back.
Wasn't he?
Gosh. That was brutal.
That big boy, he's the big kid.
This is what I love about you two, though. You've got your boys playing now, and you know, I mean, my cousin George's son just got called up to play rugby for Cyprus, and he's so ecstatic.
Fantastic.
Like his boy can't play for England, but he's going to play for Cyprus. It's quite amazing, and to see your boys doing what you're doing now as well, Warren and Kevin. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing, isn't it?
It is. It makes you feel old, but yeah, it's a great thing. It is.
Do you know? Listen, and growing up, you saw the football dads, didn't you? You saw the dads going to watch the kids, and that's been us as coming up when you have children. That's been up, and now they're old enough, and we're doing media and all this kind of thing. Warren's coaching and doing media and stuff, and then you see them enjoying their football. That's all I could ask. So I'm sure Warren will say his bit, but that's all I could ask, that they enjoy it.
Same for you, Warren. Right?
Yeah, no, it is. I've same as Kev preached to my kids. Just the best sport. Go and enjoy it. It goes so quick. You know, give everything to the game, and it'll give you so much more back. And that's how you got to go out and enjoy it. So yeah, I'm proud of all of it. You know, see Andy Cole with his son playing well, and Rob Lee's son that was with Wrexham
doing well at
scored the winning
Wrexham,
goal.
yeah.
So
One's at
Beautiful.
Wrexham, yeah.
it's great to see. You know what we might have to do? We might have to do like ex-players 11. Get the kids against the dads. Kids against the dads.
We'll do it.
We'll do it for Bobby Moore Cancer or something. We'll get out there.
Totally.
The dads against the like they do at school. We have the dads against the kids.
Our very own Highbury Squad Sports Day, and we'll raise some money for charity as well. But let me tell you something, having sat in my living room with my dad and been at games watching you two play, it's an absolute honor to moderate a conversation with you two. I think you both know how much I love you, and I really respect and appreciate you coming on the show.
Question for you two.
Time.
Question for you two. Who's going to win, Lakers or the Warriors?
I think that, I don't know, there's something about the Lakers that's gone a little bit scary for other fans.
They've gelled a bit.
I'm going with the king.
LeBron.
LeBron's
I tell you who's quietly doing their business is Stan Kroenke and Josh Kroenke's Denver Nuggets. No one's really talking about them. They've gone 2-0 up against the Suns.
Yeah, but that's at home. Your whole serve.
Yeah.
So
well, Jimmy Butler's on fire, Kev.
Yeah, in Miami.
Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy Buckets.
Jimmy Buckets, yeah.
I've got it all, Kev, you know.
I know.
I've even got the handshake. Jimmy Buckets. I thought it was a tic-tac.
It is, mate. 4-1 and 6-2 on, mate.
Oh, man, we love it. A big shout out to our friend Clive from Arsenal Vision, who's obsessed with the Lakers. So I think he's just as into the Lakers winning the NBA as he is Arsenal winning the Premier League. Totally. All right, Kev, why don't you take us out? I'll see you Thursday with Kyle, everyone. And Super Kev's going to take us out. Warren, thank you.
Listen, squaddies, thank this man down here, Warren Barton, for joining us yet again. Bigging his chest up everywhere he goes. We know we love it. Hostess with the mostest, as always, Sophie. Listen, what another great show. Everybody, we love you. Thanks for joining us. And up the Arsenal. Come on, you know we can do it, but we need a little help. At ease, squaddies. At ease.
Oh. Just like Holding, I wasn't ready. Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.